In 1955, an African-American seamstress refused to give up her seat to a white man on an Alabama city bus. Would you be able to stand up for something you believe in, even if that meant breaking the law? By the end of this speech, I hope my audience understands how Rosa Parks ended segregation. Rosa Parks was born on February 4, 1913, to James and Leona McCulley in Alabama. Rosa was taught at an early age to read by her mother, which was a schoolteacher. Rosa attended a segregated one-room school in Pine Level, Alabama. During her school years, African Americans were forced to walk to the first through the sixth grade schoolhouses, while the white students were able to use the bus transportation. Rosa experienced many acts of racial discrimination throughout her childhood. In 1929, while Rosa was in the 11th grade, Rosa left school to take care of her sick mother and grandmother. At age 19, Rosa married Raymond Parks, who was a barber and active member of the National Association for the Colored People. Rosa earned her high school degree in 1933 with the support of her husband. Rosa then became actively involved in civil rights by joining the NAACP in 1943. The Montgomery City Code stated that all public transportation be segregated, and bus drivers were allowed the same powers of a police officer of the city while in charge of any bus. Bus drivers were required to assign seats for whites and the blacks. When African Americans boarded the bus, they were to get on and pay a fare, then exit the bus and re-enter at the back. On December 1, 1955, after a long day's work as a seamstress, Rosa Parks boarded the Cleveland Avenue bus for home. She took a seat in the first few rows designated for the colored people. Though the city's bus ordinance did give drivers the authority to assign seats, it didn't specifically give them the authority to demand a passenger to give up their seat to anyone, even a colored person. However, Montgomery bus drivers adopted the custom of requiring black passengers to give up their seats to white passengers when no other seats were available. If the black passenger protested, the bus driver had the authority to refuse service and could call the police to have them removed. As the bus Rosa was riding continued on its route, it began to fill up with lots of white passengers. Eventually, the bus was full, and the driver noticed that several white passengers were standing in the aisle. Two or three colored people gave up their seats for the whites to sit down, but Rosa refused. The bus driver then stopped the bus and called the police, where Rosa was taken into custody. Later that night, Rosa posted bail after being arrested. On the morning of December 5th, a group of leaders from the African American community all gathered at Mount Zion Church in Montgomery to discuss strategies and determine that their boycott effort required a new organization and strong leadership. They formed the Montgomery Improvement Association, electing Montgomery's newcomer, Dr. Martin Luther King, as minister of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. When Rosa arrived at the courthouse for the trial the morning of December 5th with her attorney, she was greeted by 500 local supporters who rooted her on. Following a 30-minute hearing, Rosa was found guilty, and had to pay a fine of $10 as well as a $4 court fee. Rosa went on to have many things happen throughout the racial discrimination. The boycott officially ended on December 20th, 1956. Although Rosa became a symbol of civil rights movement, she suffered hardship in the months following her arrest in Montgomery and the subsequent boycott. She lost her department store, and her husband was fired after his boss forbade him to talk about his wife and their legal case. They then relocated to Detroit. Rosa went on to receive many awards, as well as published her own book, Rosa Parks, My Story. Rosa Parks was a very strong woman and ended racial segregation. And later on became